welcome to the 40k Fireside podcast, where we discuss everything to do with competitive Warhammer 40k with your hosts Vik VJ and David Gaylord.
Hey everyone, going to be doing another game recap here. As you can kind of follow my journey with Space Wolves, trying to work through some new list concepts and some new units here, and try and test some things out. Trying to nail down a list here that I'm happy to play in Stormlance. I'm still really unsure if like Space Wolves is better than Ultramarines, if Stormlance is better than Gladius. I think there's definitely like lots of pros and cons on each of them. So I think I'll probably play like one or two more games of Stormlance after I work through some changes, and then after that I'll probably swap to Gladius just to see what they're like there. Okay, so let's jump into it. So this is a game I played against Alex on the Discord, and a bit of an interesting one here. So we're playing against WTC Tsons. He's got 3 Mutalith Beasts and Magnus, etc. Now, my list was running 10 Heavy Intercessors and Gravis Captain. Other than that, pretty standard 6-3-3 Wolves, 10-man Termes with Arjak, a Lancer and a Predator, Combi Lieutenant, 5 Intercessors, 5 Scouts, etc. So let's just jump into it. I did end up going first here, and this was what my deployment looked like. I was pretty happy with this. And I guess on a side note, when I was thinking about things, you know, when I was doing WTC prep and when I'm like preparing for a big tournament that I really want to do well at, I'll probably think about my games quite a lot. And this is like a really good way to introspectively think about your games, like where you could improve things. And this game's kind of crazy. This game is actually wild, but it's like important to look past the wildness of many things that can happen, and then still trying to think about where you can improve. Because there's still a lot of things to take away from the game, even though like dice rolls might not reflect really what would have happened in a normal state. And that's kind of one of the key takeaways here, I would say. So one of the things, looking at the deployment, one of the things when I play this list is always a bit awkward, is that with my 10 Bloodclaw unit and my 10 Intercessors, I always find it's really hard to get the positioning for these two correctly. This list is primarily more designed to play on UKTC. Probably like my prep for a GT coming up for it, but we'll put on WTC here. This board is probably one of the more interesting ones, I would say. And as you can see, like I want to move this Intercessor unit like either onto this terrain plate or here, and probably put the 3 wolves like across this piece here to get OC on it. And then my Bloodclaw unit doesn't really have a good spot to go into on turn 1. So it might have been better if I deployed them like in this angle here, as you can see, and then tried to move them onto this point right here. And yeah, just something to consider, but you can see how later on I'll put my 10 Terminators here, which were really good. Yes, that was my deployment. As you can see, Alex deployed quite well as well. 2 beasts on this side to play these 2 objectives, just 1 down here to harass my expansion, and we've got the overlay coming up here. Okay, cool. So I went first, and I figured one thing I really want to do here is I want to put a lot of pressure on Magnus early on, because if I have to try and kill Magnus from 100 to 0 in 1 turn, it's basically impossible for me. So I need to probably use units quickly to get Magnus down over turns. So I actually move my scouts forward here, chuck a grenade at Magnus, of course, 1 damage only, which is a bit of a shame because I'm using a unit here to do that. Move block him a little bit, and try and get Magnus down to a point where I could like grenade him once, grenade him twice, shoot him with my shooting pieces with Oath, and then hopefully charge him when he's low enough after that. But 1 damage on the grenade, it's how it be sometimes. Obviously, when you're shooting a model like Magnus, grenading a model like Magnus, like if you get like a 4 damage grenade, it's like really big, right? Because then they're down to 12. Another grenade, they're on 9. You can shoot him after that. You could even kill him, right? Okay, so one thing here on my movement here, probably a misplay of what I've done right here. So in my thought process, I thought, you know, I could put 1 Thunderwolf here, and it's going to be pretty hard with -1 to hit and wound for him to actually chip these through, but realistically speaking, these guys are such a good asset for me, and the move 21 is such a good threat that I probably should have slow rolled them and kept them a bit safer. Just this guy right here is on the objective. I probably could have put my Combi Lieutenant on this objective, put these guys back, maybe have 1 on the terrain plate, and then threaten the 21-inch move across here. That would help. That would have made him bleed out resources a bit more often, and a Combi Lieutenant right here is not easy for him to kill. He would have to use probably an Exalted Sorcerer on disc. I could AM Armor of Contempted. I take 4 ups, 5 up, feel no pain, and he has to roll a number of shots on top of that as well. So he might not even kill the Combi Lieutenant. So a bit of a mistake for me to put these guys here. Mainly because after the game I realized also my only good way of killing Mutalith Beasts is going to be with these guys on the Lance strat. So in Stormlance, you have pros and cons here. One of the pros is that you get the flat 6 reactor move, which is insane on the Terminators, right? Like very, very, very good. That's primarily the unit I use it on, and you get the -1 to hit and wound. But the +1 AP, the Lance strat, is only mounted. So you can't use it on the Terminators, and the Gladius one is +1 AP as well. So the Gladius 1 CP strat for bonus damage in combat is significantly better than the Stormlance one. But Stormlance, you always get advance and charge, and you get fallback and charge, of course. So, pros and cons there, and then it's a D6 reactive if you're not in tactical. So that's why I'm really keen on maybe playing some Gladius to try and see if I can support a 10-man unit to be in tactical doctrine and reactive moving around, and if that's worth it, basically. Because +1 AP on the wolves is insane too. Like, you really want that. The reroll charges I almost never use. So something to consider there when you got tough assets like that. I should have kept the 6-man alive to try and one-bang out the Mutalith. Probably not one-bang it, but like surround it, pin it against the wall here, and then be off an objective maybe, etc. So something to learn there. I'll know that for next time. I also kind of give him a little bit of free damage with Magnus, which is not great. So, yeah, I'm just going to come in here. This is after Alex's turn. He's put the Rhino up here, the Zangor's here, and I've got a unit staged in this ruin right here and over here. He's moved to Enlightened. I'll OC me here because I have 2 wolves across this piece. And you can see my Blood Claws are still back here, which is not ideal because if I go in, I would rather go in with a bunch of stuff at once. So he's just going to clean all this stuff up. That's not a big deal for him. He's going to Temporal Surge his Mutalith Beast onto here. He's put his Exalted Sorcerer on here. Whoops, sorry. He's put his Exalted Sorcerer here to shoot these guys, and Magnus can also see and shoot them as well. And you'll see that I'll actually lose a lot more wolves than I thought here. So I'm losing 3 wolves here, which is less than ideal for sure. Because now you can see, like, a unit of 3 wolves is nowhere near as good to kill a Mutalith Beast. I'd rather just have a unit of 5 or 6 so I can use the Lance strat, deal a ton more damage in one go here. But you can see, like, I've drawn him closer, right? So something I learned from Liam a lot is if you can draw your opponent closer in to your melee threat, I just deep strike these guys here on turn 1. I'm going to be able to move and charge all 3 units here, which is pretty big. And with the move block here, you can see I've drawn him closer in, I've staged in here. So realistically, these areas here, charging in, are going to be pretty tight, right? Like, I can get those quite reliably. So, taking a bit of damage, but the opportunities are looking pretty good for me. Okay, so, I bring out all my Intercessors. We shoot off the Enlightened. This is the heavy Intercessor unit with fallback, shoot and charge, advanced shoot and charge for the strat. Shoot off some Enlightened, and I'm going to just tag this Rhino up here. Alex is going to heroic with the Zangors, and that would have prevented me from tagging, like, this Mutalith Beast, and if I punch myself out of combat, I can tag this Mutalith Beast. And so we'll see in here in a second. So my Terminator's over here. I've gotten a multi-charge here. One big mistake I made here, which is a huge mistake in the long run, is I didn't realize Arjac was just anti-monster 3+, and given that I wound the Mutalith on 6s, I really needed Arjac to get into the Mutalith here, which was, cost me probably 15 points in the long run here. But, something to know. My first time playing against the beasts and stuff like that with the Terminators. They're obviously significantly better against stuff less than toughness 10. And so, yeah, charge around with the wolves here. What I did was, one crucial mistake here I did as well. And you can see, for example, that we're only like 2 turns in and I can identify like 8 mistakes that I made. One absolutely critical mistake here I made was I overestimated the tankiness of this unit. I should have just said, this unit's terrible against Thousand Suns because Magnus is flat 3, and with Twist of Fate, he can just like evaporate them like that, right? So with Magnus shoot once, charge, he's going to kill that whole squad. And this is the squad I'm kind of experimenting with. I should have just accepted that the squad was dead, and I made a crucial decision to not pile in this model here onto this objective here. And if I'd done that, I would have blocked out the space right here, which was really big. So I was trying to wrap this Rhino up, and that's why I came out, shoot, and charge a Rhino. So I should have consolidated this guy here, because I thought in my head, he basically would be able to disembark even if I consulted in. But after we actually saw him disembark, I realized that actually if I just put a model there, I would have stopped him as well. So there's a huge change on the game as well. So I could have got a wrap on this Rhino such that he would have to disembark this way, which would have been ideal because he wouldn't have been able to hit this unit over here. So I overestimated the tankiness of this unit by a long mile. Needless to say, Alex, I think, rolled like 9 shots on his Magnus coming up here, and I failed like all of my 8 or 3 ups, 4 ups, and then got instantly obliterated, of course. So as you can see, all the instances are dead. He moves the squad out here, and he brings in here. He flames my Ragnar squad with Twist of Fate on it, and then I come through with. Okay, so a crucial point. I also grenaded Magnus with the squad that came out. So no, I didn't. Sorry, take that back. What? So this is actually after the next turn here. So as you can see down below here, we've got the Mulith that still lived here. Now, I failed an absolutely critical charge here. So this part here is something that you can just never do something about, right? So this is at the end of my turn here. What I've done here is I've brought the pred down to shoot the beast and then charge and tank shock it. Doesn't kill it. Okay, that's a bit of a shame because it was on like 4 wounds. I bring my Lancer up here to charge into these guys to tie them up so that I can then charge Ragnar's squad out and not get overwatched. And then what happens is I grenade Magnus. Magnus is on 4 wounds. I grenade Magnus, 1 damage. My Ragnar squad goes in with 4 blood claws. Full rerolls to hit and wound on Magnus. He passes 16 out of 18 saves. Okay, you know, Magnus is on 1 wound at this point. My 3 wolves get like 6 through, and then he passes 6 saves, and Magnus is alive. Magnus then sweep kills all of the blood claws, and we're going to see how badly this can go. Not to mention, I fall back with my Terminators here. I try to go for a 6-inch charge, rerollable with a CP. Fail it, I roll a double 1, and then I roll a 1 and a 2. So I would have multi-tagged 3 units here with my Terminators on his home field objective, killed Magnus, and have this unit tagged up, which, needless to say, would have been a bit of a different game. But that was probably as poorly as a turn could have possibly gone because I lost 1 unit here. Magnus is then going to shoot and activate and kill another 2 units. My Logan is this Rhino is going to be alive, so these guys are going to fall back into the Rhino with Firing Deck. The Firing Deck Rhino can activate. So I'm going to lose 1, 2, 3. I'm going to lose Logan, Ragnar, the Wolves, the Reaper. I'm going to lose 4 units on top of what I didn't. And hopefully, I mean, ideal world, this Mutilith would have been dead as well, but you know, it is what it is. So that's how poorly a turn can go. So if I evaluated the board pre-charge here, I thought I was going to get quite a big win, but failing a 4 was quite bad. I actually went for a 6 here onto these two units with the idea that I could swing around here as well. I should have just gone for the 4 here, and if I hit a bigger one, I could have put a model right here and piled in anyway. So another mistake by me there, because I could have realized I was within, to hit the 4 here, I was within 7 anyway to hit these guys, and if I rolled any bigger, I would have got that anyway. However, I rolled a double 1 into a 1-2, so it didn't even matter if I went for the 4-inch charge, but something to note there as well. So yeah, we'll see how badly this turn can go for me. And once you're at this part, you really need to reevaluate really how you're going to be doing things in life, because it's about as bad as it gets. Okay, so I think we'll just go through and look at Alex's turn now. Okay, so this is going to be after Alex's turn. You can see his Magnus shot and killed the Reaper, and then he's got Arcane Vortex on this guy, so he can actually punch himself out of combat. He killed Logan. He's just going to move block. I reactive move with the Terminators, of course, as much as possible. His Mutilith Beast obviously kills my Predator in combat. I failed like 3 straight saves and just one-shot it from almost full. These guys here are fine. And basically, I'm in the position now where all my Terminators have to clear up and deal as much as possible, and I'm just trying to scrap the points now. So I can Grenade Magnus to finish him off, obviously. Gonna get a 5. And I'm really limited on what cards I can do here, of course. Nice, there we go. Okay, so my Terminators can charge a unit here, Grenade Magnus off the board. I charge the Infernal Master unit after shooting them with Combi Lieutenant, and they've Oath the Moment on these guys, and Intercessors, and shot them. The Infernal Master one-shots my Combi Lieutenant through Armor of Contempt, of course. So things are just going from bad to worse because I really need every single asset here alive. And we'll see that Alex is he passes this leadership and then passes all the leaderships as well, which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, then the game kind of ends like this. He crystals down here to make sure he can hold both the objectives. I make the decision to try and get this Mulith Beast down and hold both of these objectives and tie them up instead of doing sabotage here. I didn't really draw a card that let me do anything on the last turn, so less than ideal there. And we end up with a game of 69-54 loss, so a 12-8 loss, and in a game where dice were very impactful. But it's kind of interesting because I'm sure a lot of people will probably have games like this as well, right? Where you can have like really impactful dice rolls and feel like the unit was, the game was just like, you can have really impactful dice rolls and then all you can take away from the game is that you had really impactful dice rolls, right? That's like not really the right way to approach improving, it happens to everyone, right? I'm no exception in that. But you could see, like, by analyzing a lot of my early game play, I could definitely see that I had the wrong decision-making process right from the get-go, that despite rolling those terrible dice, I still would have won the game, even with some shockingly horrible dice, even at this part, because my wolves would have probably killed this Mulith Beast, I would have had this area, it would have been really hard for him to deal with, and I would have had that 6-man unit probably alive a lot longer. So, yeah, lots to take away. I'm just going to jump now into TTS here, because I was thinking about this list a lot, and I wanted to maybe just go over my thought process around the intercessors. I thought that was quite interesting. So give me 1 second here. So, oh, that's the wrong thing to share. Nice one, David. I'm a professional, people. I'm a professional. So, one thing I thought about my list was, let's just go through the list here. I will load in the Stormlance. This is the Storm Raven build I was playing. Haven't really got a great solution for rhinos, but so I'll just construct a list again. 1 second. I've been loving this 10-man Terminator unit in Stormlance. Absolutely insanely good. The backbone of so much of what I was doing in every single one of my games. Oftentimes they live till the end of the game, which is awesome. Okay, so this is kind of the list. Now, the theory behind the Gravis Captain, which is, I'll just say this this guy, here is another Gravis Captain or something. Oh, this guy here can be a Gravis Captain. The theory behind the Gravis Captain is, in Stormlance, you often have all your CP stratagems are used on your opponent's turn. So I wanted to have a unit that I could proactively get a CP discount on, and the one proactive strat you have on your turn is the advanced shoot and charge. Oh, the advanced and shoot one. And if you have assault, you automatically get sustained. So that's kind of the theory behind this unit. The problem is that this unit is okay. It's not very good. One of the problems is that you do have some early skirmishing units, but you want to kind of pressure your opponent with a large, like a large surface area unit early on, right? And this unit is good for that, but it's also 300 points. One of the common things, like, I might run into, well, a couple of things about this list, which, if I was looking back to my own critical point of view, I would probably say I should try and improve on. One thing is, it doesn't have any transports, right? So everything's just straight up on the board. So a Rhino here would be really good, or a Repulsor. So I could upgrade the Gladiator to a Repulsor and get a unit that my Ragnar unit could fit in, right? Or like some Eradicators could fit in by chance. Could put a lot of different things in there. Then I would still retain like a decent shooting back end, and I would get a transport effectively, right? Because I do want transports, and I do want stuff I can put on objectives that are a little bit phase locked, so to speak, right? So Rhino maybe is a consideration. And this gives me about 290 points to play with, because enhancement I think is 10 points. Let me just double check here. Yeah, 290 points. So, I can put Storm Raven in. But I really want to... And okay, I'm dilly-dallying a bit here, but when I think about the construction of this list as well, it's also quite narrow on my units, right? So I've got... Between 1, 2, 3, 4 units, I have 220, This is like 550, 560. This is like 340. This is 1,000 points right here. This is 1,300 points in my army right here, right? Like, that's a lot to have in 4 units, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I've got 12 units total, right? This is very low. So ideally, I should get this unit here, probably split it up into something else, and kind of upgrade one of these, or maybe downgrade this to a Storm Speeder with the Melter, and just try and keep my opponent honest. Because I do still want to use the -1 to hit and wound strat. So one thing is interesting to consider, right, is when your opponent just has a Rhino like on an objective like this, how are you going to deal with that? Now, in UKTC, that's a lot less relevant because of the way that the ruins are placed. But on WTC, I would probably try and play a Rhino, right? Because if I played a Rhino, or just the cheapest OC2 unit I could possibly have, maybe like an ATV might be really nice just to like out OC an opponent for one turn, and then I could put -1 to hit and wound on it. It could drive off, do something else. So something to consider there as well. If I've got 290 and I used 20 points, I've got 270, ATV is 60, 210 left. I've got, that's just 10 Blood Claws and a Wolfguard Head Taker, for example, and I've quite liked the Blood Claws. Or, you know, we could get a Rhino, maybe Rhino, Captain, and 5 Assault Intercessors, something like that as well. Or, you know, 200 points is going to be like 2 Eradicators, right? So we could get maybe 2 units of 3, or we could get 1 unit of 6. 1 unit of 6 with the reactive move is not shabby as well. So yeah, something to consider. I mean, this list is already pretty good into combat armies because you've got a 10-man Terminator unit that fights on death with Armor of Contempt and fallbacks and charges. So this unit is terrible for melee armies to play against. And then you've got wolves on top of that as well. So, and you're obviously natively fallback shooting and charging. So I would probably go a little bit more on the anti-tank side of things because these mutalisks were quite troublesome for me to deal with, and maybe just having 1 in rapid ingress would be okay. So those are kind of the options I'm looking at, and that's kind of how I think about the roles and distributions of my army points there. Okay, hopefully this has been useful. Appreciate your time. If you're working on Space Wolves, let me know what your thoughts are, and have a good one. Lots to take away from this game. See you guys.
Thank you for listening to the 40k Fireside. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, drop us a comment, check out the YouTube members area, and we look forward to seeing you again next time by the Fireside.